You can use your commenting strategically to grow your audience. So, knowing that, you can think differently about what posts you comment on. Don't just comment willy nilly, but think about how can you use your comments to grow relationships with specific people or attract your ideal client over to your profile. Hello, and welcome to the Art of Value Whispering podcast. I'm your host, Melitta Campbell, Value Whisperer and business coach, and I'm excited that you're here today because I want to follow on from the discussion I was having with you 2 weeks ago on how to market your business on a budget and answer another question that came out of that very same value session a few weeks ago. And another belief that came out of that was that marketing themselves on social media takes hours a day. So today I want to show you how I manage my social media in pretty much less than 30 minutes. So if you are looking to get better results from your social media and spend less time doing it, today's episode has your name written all over it. So I am going to assume that you already have your social media profile complete and set up properly. If you don't or you're not sure, don't worry, I have your back. Go to the Dream Clients Club. That's my free community. You'll find it at melittacampbell.com/club. And there, go to the classroom, and in there you'll find two things that will help you. The first is the Magnetic Messages Challenge, and that's going to show you how you can focus your messages on having impact, connecting with the right people, attracting your clients, and guiding your ideal clients to the next step towards working with you. It also shows you how to create a simple social media content plan. The other place to go in the classroom is in the value sessions replays. And the very first replay you'll see there is how to set up your all-star LinkedIn profile. So of course that is looking at LinkedIn and not other platforms, but it will already give you an idea of what you need to think about to make your profile attractive, because these days when people find you, they do go and check you out online. They'll look for your website, they'll look at your social media, and if they don't get the right impression from you there, that's the end of the journey. Game over. So regardless of what your daily content is like, you want to spend some time getting your static profiles right. Just like the homepage of your website, you want them to welcome your ideal client in, let them know they're in the right place, induct them quickly into your expertise and brand and the experience they can expect from working with you, and invite them to take that next step. And with your daily content, you're reinforcing that expertise, that experience that they can expect. You're building that know, like, and trust. You're building those relationships with your ideal clients. So the daily content is important, but getting your profile right first is key. So if you're not sure if your profile is all singing, all dancing, and as good as it can be, go to the Dream Clients Club for support with that. So you've got your profile set up, you have a simple content plan. The next is to manage your daily activities. Now, this is the simple system that I use, and it takes me 20 minutes. I have a cup of coffee and I go into it. Sometimes if I'm inspired and I'm in the flow, I'll do a little bit more. But generally, this is what I do every day. And you'll start to see a pattern as I go through this. So the first thing I do is I go through my feed and I find 5 posts that I can comment on. In commenting, you want to make sure that your comments are good quality. So more than 5 words, though not just, oh, that's nice. You want to see if there's a post where you can add additional value to the post itself or the discussion that's happening. Share your expertise, your personal story, some kind of reflection on that. Look for ways that you can leave comments that people are going to read and think, that's interesting that Melitta said that. Let me go and check her out. Each time you comment on LinkedIn, especially, you get a little strap line underneath that tells them, if you set up your profile correctly, who you are and what you do and for whom you do it. So that little strap line is like your free advert. It's your signpost saying, hey, if this is you and you're looking for this result, come over here. So if you're commenting on someone's post, you're adding value, in a way that makes people think, oh, that was interesting. Who is this person? And then you've got your strapline that invites them to come over if they are interested in your topic or they align with your ideal client. So they're going to click through to your profile. So you can use your commenting strategically to grow your audience. So knowing that, you can think differently about what posts you comment on. Of course, you want to be supporting your clients' posts, your community, your business bestie, but they might not always have your audience. So the 5 posts that I comment on each day are posts that my ideal client will be reading. To do this, sometimes I go specifically to particular thought leaders and scroll through their feed to see how I can add value to them. I've got a list of people that I want to engage with. Maybe it's people who have an interesting podcast and I want to build a relationship with them before I apply to their show. So I'll go to their posts and there I'm commenting to start building a relationship. So think about your comments. Don't just comment willy-nilly, but think about how can you use your comments to grow relationships with specific people or attract your ideal client over to your profile. So that's the first thing I do is I comment on 5 posts strategically. And I may do some extras, as I say, to support my friends, clients, and community. Then the next thing I'll do is I will reach out to 5 new people. So I will look for maybe people that are commenting on other people's posts. Maybe it's people who are following thought leaders in my space who I think, oh, they sound interesting. It'd be great to get to know this person a little bit more. I'm really looking for people of interest, people who look like they could be interesting, as in maybe a potential client. I don't know at this stage. You have to have a conversation and start that relationship with them to find out. Or maybe it's someone in my space. I think, well, they're doing some interesting work. I'd love to have a conversation with them and learn more. Or maybe it's someone I think, oh, they could be really interesting as a guest for my podcast. So I'm always looking for these persons of interest that I'm going to connect with. And I'll connect with 5 people a day minimum, often more. Because once I start looking, I just find so many interesting people. And maybe you're one of them. Maybe I've reached out to you on LinkedIn and you've checked me out and that's why you're listening today. If so, hi. If we haven't had a virtual coffee yet, drop me a message and let's book one in. The other thing I'll do is I will send out 5 messages. So I'll go through people I've connected with in the past, people who I'm in an active conversation with, and I will message at least 5 people. So these aren't always new people. They can be people who are already in my network that I haven't spoken to a while, following up on existing messages. And again, often once I get into the flow, I'll message more than 5. But by keeping the goalpost small, by saying I'm just going to comment on 5 posts, send 5 messages, connect with 5 people, it's really doable. And once you get into this, you can do this in minutes, depending how quickly you find these people. But once you find your rhythm, find your systems, you can do this pretty quickly. The last thing I'll do is I will post something. I will create some content. Now I'll go to my content plan and I'll know, okay, Mondays, it's motivation or it's a poll. It's something to start a conversation, something to start engaging with people. Often these are then the people that I'll connect with and message later on as well. Tuesdays, it's my business tip. Thursdays, it's the podcast, obviously. Then Wednesdays and Fridays, I try and share a value post or a client testimonial or some kind of story or something that's struck me. If there isn't anything that's feeling particularly topical and front of mind that I want to talk about, I will go back to my database. I am always repurposing my content. If you follow me on LinkedIn and you aren't aware that I'm reusing my content, then that's an indication for you that it's okay to do so because different people are seeing your content all of the time. You're always having new people join your network. So typically my Wednesday post will be a repurposed post and my Friday post will be fresh content if I post it all. Fridays are my day just to create content, to wrap things up, to follow up with my personal development. It's a day just for me. I don't typically have client meetings on a Friday. So sometimes I can really get stuck into something and completely forget to post on social media, and I just about remember to send out my newsletter. I might change the day of that next year because Friday really is my like other thinking day. But that's how I manage my content. So in 20, 30 minutes a day, I have attracted new audience members. I have put out some value for my existing audience. And for the new people that are going to check me out, I've continued to build relationships with my existing network, and I'm expanding this with new people. So that's as simple as it needs to be. It doesn't need to be particularly complicated. But once you have a simple plan and you can be strategic with your content and build that into your routine every day, suddenly social media becomes a breeze. You don't even think about it. I sit down in the morning with my cup of coffee, I spend my 30 minutes on social media, and then I'm out of there. I pop back later in the day just to check my notifications, see what's come up, but that's just then dipping in for 5 minutes or so. It needn't take hours and take over your life. If you are worried about storytelling, then do go and check out last week's podcast with Kennedy, where he talked about storytelling and where he gets his ideas for email, but it's the same process for social media. We also spoke a year or so ago with Ian Brody, who again was talking about emails, but ended up really giving a masterclass on how to find stories that you can use for any kind of content. So check out those 2 other episodes for support in finding ideas. But the other thing I wanted to mention in finding time for your social media, finding time for your marketing, finding time for anything in your business that might not be your favorite thing to do is to find the flow in those moments. So if you've read the book, and if you haven't, I highly recommend it. Flow by, I'm going to say it wrong, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, something like that. Is a brilliant book. But one thing that he comes back to is that we need to find the joy and appreciation in everything we do. And the more we find these moments of joy and appreciation, the more we expand our life experience, the more we expand our knowledge, our capability, our joy and sense of meaning and purpose. So if you are finding certain elements of your marketing, social media, for example, a chore right now, look for the joy in that. Look for how it's expanding you. Look for the ways that it can be joyful and fun. Because if your marketing isn't fun, if you're not enjoying it, your clients will feel that. So you want to make it as enjoyable as possible. So here are some ideas. One is, like I said, I have my coffee in the morning. So make it a moment. Maybe have a special scented candle that you have for your social media content. Maybe there's some music you have in the background that can add some joy. Maybe you're going to go in there and think about, well, what interesting people can I meet today? And there are so many interesting people out there on social media. My main platform is LinkedIn. That's where I hang out. And I'm always just stumbling across people who are doing incredible things. And I just find that so inspiring to see how we all have the same amount of time in the day. We all have pretty much the same capabilities, but what we do with that time, what we do with our knowledge, our passions, our ideas, it's so interesting to see what other people are doing. So it brings me joy. Connecting with 5 people brings me joy. So when you're doing these strategies, look for the joy and always think, how is this expanding me? How is this expanding my life experience, my network, my knowledge, my fill in the blank, whatever's meaningful for you. So take that 20, 30 minutes, put a little ring fence around it, and just make that as joyful as possible. And once you start looking, once you start focusing on how can I bring joy and appreciation to this moment, you'll be amazed at how much you find and how much you grow. There's another book I read, gosh, a few years ago, and it had just had the most brilliant title, which stood out to me. And I'm sure many of you will resonate with the title as well. It's by Dr. Nick Hall, and it's called I Know What to Do, So Why Aren't I Doing It? And if that's how you feel about your social media, in that book, he points out that there are many reasons why we know what to do, but we don't do it. And it's not always that we don't want to. It's not always that we just can't be bothered, or we're not motivated, or we're lazy, or we hate that activity. Often there are lots of other things around that that we might not have realized. So maybe we haven't had our coffee yet, we are hungry, or we're tired. So there are some of these basic things that may be in place. So if you're sitting down, you're not feeling motivated, just check, am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Am I tired? Are any of these things impacting my ability to get things done? The other thing is that maybe we lack some of the competencies we need. Maybe there's a skill that we feel we're lacking. And how can we build that? So one thing that I hear a lot is, well, I don't know how to tell stories. So I can't do storytelling on social media, and that's holding me back. But maybe this could be a moment of joy and expansion, practicing your storytelling. And if you are in the early stages and you don't have a big audience yet, that's perfect. You can practice your storytelling, because that's what it takes to improve in anything is practice, right? So you can practice on social media. And the great thing about social media or email for practicing storytelling is that if you don't get it right, it's forgotten tomorrow. It's not like a book that's published and is out there. It's just a fleeting moment. So it's a brilliant way to practice and bring some joy into that. And I remember when I was doing my public speaking training a long while ago, Les Brown said that to be a great storyteller, you have to become a great story reader and a great story listener. So I'd encourage you to do the same as well. If you want to improve storytelling, read more stories, listen to more stories, pay attention to those stories. And what is it that they do to capture your attention, your emotion, to move you, and bit by bit build those into your own stories as well. And look to what other people are doing. What are really successful people doing on their social media posts, and how can you learn from that? You'd never want to copy someone else's content, but you can learn from their structure, the way they approach it, maybe layout, or what is it about their content that makes it so appealing? And what can you learn from that and apply to your own social media? So look for the joy, keep it simple, have a high level strategy that you can do every day consistently, and you will start to see your audience grow, your opportunities grow, and your enjoyment grow as well. And you'll start to see the amount of time you spend comes down as well. I hope you have found this helpful and interesting, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you're going to do next. How are you going to apply this? Or do you do something different on social media that works for you and helps you get more done in less time? Come and share your thoughts with me in the Dream Clients Club. We have a discussion there on the podcast every week, or connect with me and message me on LinkedIn. I've been there since pretty much the very beginning, so I'm just at Melitta with 2 T's. No surname, no anything, just Melitta. And if you found it helpful, do share it with your network and business besties. And I'd love it if you leave the show a review. It really does help more people to find the show and benefit from the wisdom and advice shared. Meantime, there are a lot more tools, tips, and insights coming up for you in the next episode. I'm Melitta Campbell, your value whisperer and business coach, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye.